Hello everyone and welcome back to the third round of our second Rivals of Ixalan draft. We've drafted a white-black vampires deck and we're currently 2-0. Hand is unkeepable. Definitely need to find a few more lands. We would like to have a white source in this hand, however we do have an explorer creature. We're on the draw. I think we'll leave the Dusk Charger on top to ensure we have some late game. Although it is close, so I guess we're going to ship it to the bottom. Here's we're playing against some type of dinosaurs deck yet again, with green-red as our opponent's first few lands. Hopefully we're finding another land here, however we're definitely not going to be putting Impale on the bottom whenever we're expecting to play against creatures that are bigger than our own. Here we could either play out the Skymarch Bloodletter or the Squire's Devotion to force through damage. We're just going to go with the Bloodletter because the Squire's Devotion is actually better on the Bloodletter in the long run anyway. If we find another land, we may just run out the Chupacabra to force through early damage. And if we find a land now, we're definitely going to take out the 2/4 as the cost reduction mechanic as well. Or we'll make a horrible misplay and just play Squire's Devotion right onto our flyer. I guess our thought process there is we're forcing through 3 damage right away. Not representing, but actually having Skullduggery there. Not sure why we didn't fire it off, though. Yeah, I don't really have words to describe the play we just made there. However, our opponent is attacking with the 2/4, so I guess it's going to work out for us. They're going to allow us to continue to get in for extra amounts of damage. I guess the thought process is that the Dreadmaw will hold back everything that the 2/4 was previously holding back. However, we have a Ravenous Chupacabra that's going to take that Dreadmaw right in half. And then we're able to push through even more damage. We should not attack. I guess we can go ahead and attack the token. I was thinking that the Viner was a 1/4, but its Explorer trigger did just hit a land, so. Our opponent's getting tons of value off the 2/4 cost reducing creature. Our opponent's continuing to be aggressive despite the fact that they should probably be on the beatdown. Or not on the beatdown, on blocks because they have the better late game. I guess they have to force through damage at some point, but I guess the plays they're making are actually fine because they're forcing through large chunks of damage and allowing themselves to keep back reasonable blockers with the 2/4. Here you see us just going through some combat math. Our opponent can't pump the Sun-Collared Raptor. We can contract killing, likely the Charging Monstrosaur, and then have Skullduggery back, or up as well. And if they attempt to block either the 2/2 or the 2/3, we can use Skullduggery to make combat work profitably for us. And we're going to use Skullduggery, I'm guessing, to make the Chupacabra kill the 2/4. That combination of contract killing and skullduggery has been great for us this league, continually allowing us to play 2 spells on turn 5 whenever we find our 5th land for contract killing, and really shifting the board back into our favor with all the times that it's happened in the league. And our opponent's seen enough at this point. Going to go into round 2. Probably just going to bring in some additional reach yet again. Our opponent once again has a better late game than us, so we want to bring in Arterial Flow, and then Gruesome Fate in theory is reasonable. Don't know that it's better than our 1-drop. Here we're also considering bringing in the Vampire Revenant. It's not a card I'm thrilled about playing, however, the flying is definitely going to be relevant in this matchup as our opponent clearly has a number of high toughness early drop creatures. So we'll take out the Raider's Wake, as we haven't even seen it in any of the games. Its hand is reasonable. Conveniently enough, we actually have double white for our turn 3 play. We have a very good curve from 1 to 3, very aggressive curve, and if we find 2 more lands or a 4-drop, which we do, we're going to curve 1 to 5 as long as we find some lands here, and that, I think, is going to be pretty much unstoppable and limited. We do indeed have to find lands to make it work, though. So we'll see if that is what happens. Another 3, arguable which of the 2 3-drop is better. Both are 2 power flyers, so it's more a matter of do we value that 1 point of drain or the extra point of toughness on the 2/3. I think we probably value the extra point of toughness a little bit higher, so we'll see if we do end up playing out the Sky Marcher. Now we played out the Bloodletter. Interesting. Our opponent's able to play a turn 5 Dreadmaw, which seems to spell disaster for us. However, if we can find 2 more lands, we're in reasonable shape still. Interesting to me that our opponent decides not to attack on this turn after having been very aggressive last game in similar situations. Here we're just going to attempt to go all in on this Bloodletter unless we find another land for the contract killing. And another reason we play the Aura that turn was we know we get at least 1 hit in with it as our opponent's fully tapped out. Our opponent being on green-red also is an indicator that it's alright for us to play that other Aura if they tap down again this turn. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that deals 5 damage in red for a single spell at least. I believe Bombard is 4 damage, so I think we'd be safe to go ahead and play the other Aura if the situation arises. We can trump with the Martyr of Dusk pretty freely. However, 2 of his creatures have trample, so it's not really worth all that much. It does, however, trade with the Uncolored Raptor, so we'll go ahead and do that, but it's not really a life total conservation. It's more of a board, affecting the board state based play, which is, I guess, the majority of plays. Block like so. The other thing is, if our opponent wants to activate this, I'm more than happy to have them tap down this mana so that they can't continue to develop their board this turn. I think that's one of our best options. The Death Gorge Scavenger is a real pain in the ass for us because we do not want our opponent to be gaining life, and definitely not in a way that allows them to have more of an offense against us. Dust Charger is a fine draw, but it doesn't do much on this board because of the Enraged Dinosaur, and then the fact that the Dreadmaw is just strictly bigger than it. So my guess is that we're just going to play the Squire's Devotion, but we should have done that pre-combat. Dusk Charger's a fine play, I suppose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So next turn we would be turning on Ascend and creating an additional chump blocker for the non-trampling creatures, and having a even larger flying lifelinker, or maybe we throw it on the Sky Marcher, and then we have a two flying lifelinkers instead of just one. Probably the more conservative play. However, our opponent doesn't have a removal spell in hand, so it's possible that just making the 5/5 flying lifelinkers better and leaving the Sky Marcher back for chumps. This is 11 points of damage. We could go ahead and chump on them. However, they both have trample once again, so it's next to pointless to do so. We're going to do it though, apparently. We're just going for the trade here. Almost making a mistake of offering a free creature to our opponent. We could have just waited a turn, taken 11 this turn, attacked back for 5 lifelink in the air, and had a 5/5. I think that line's better, especially considering we could just draw another land for contract killing. Although this wipes out the contract killing, or makes it so we can take out the Dreadmaw with contract killing if we do, and be facing down just about nothing. This turn, 2, 5, 7, 13 is what's being represented, and we have 5 points of lifelink. I think our plan here is we're going to attack for 5 this turn, go to 19, take 13 on the crackback, go down to 6. Next turn we'll have our opponent at 6. We can attack for 5 and play the Sky March Bloodletter to finish them off. So fingers crossed that they don't draw anything to interrupt that game plan. And that's a fantastic card for our opponent to have at that moment. Really setting us back the whole way to round 0. And likely making it impossible for us to win this game. However, I don't remember playing in Game 3 against them. So maybe we do indeed come back. We'll have to see. Finding a swamp for this contract killing would really help us out. Our opponent exiled the correct card with the Death Gorge Scavenger, so we couldn't double block it. Sanguine Glorifier is not a bad draw because we can gain the additional life by putting a +1/+1 counter on the vampire. And we can actually attempt to trade with the Dreadmaw if that's the line we decide to take. Definitely think it makes sense to be playing the Glorifier over the Bloodletter or the other Sky Marcher. But it's a matter of whether we decide we want to try to go for the 3-for-1 trade, or whether we just want to pump the Death Gorge Scavenger. Or just trade with the Death Gorge Scavenger, rather. I don't think we're chumping it in pretty much any situation. There are creature spells in graveyard, so I guess it's possible for our opponent to pump it again. Very dependent on what our opponent draws here, and how they decide to attack. Thus, the Dreadmaw could imply that they have a removal spell. However, I don't think we're beating a removal spell at this point in the game anyway. So I think we should probably go for the triple block. It's dangerous, but I do believe it's our closest route to victory. Definitely a high risk, high value play. And we clearly spend a decent amount of time debating it here. Our opponent just drew one card off the top of their library. The chances of it being a removal spell can't be that incredibly high. In green, red, you could have a pump spell or a removal spell, so that increases it considerably, I suppose. The issue is that the Dreadmaw has trample. So even if we just chump it, we're taking so much damage that it's probably not worth just chumping. I don't know if that was the correct play or not. Our opponent just had a land in hand, but we didn't have that information when we were making the decision, obviously. We don't find the correct land. We do find a fifth land, but not the correct land. If we attack here, he's going to block with the enraged creature. I think our best bet is just to play the 2-3. And we're going to play the Bloodletter yet again. I guess it also gains us a life. Takes us up to 6. We really need to find a swamp. Our opponent has one card in hand, just the card they top decked yet again. See how they sequence everything. They're hesitating in their main phase quite a bit, which suggests that they didn't draw a land or a removal spell, because they would have likely just gone straight to attacks if that were the case. This attack forces chump blocks from us, or at least trades. Let's see what he exiles with this. This allows us to kill the Death Gorge Scavenger, which I'm pretty happy about. We can then block the 2-4 with the 3-3. So doing it this way actually negates the enrage ability of the dinosaur on the far right that I don't know the name of, because we won't actually have any creatures for it to deal damage to. So that's not the best case scenario, but at least it eliminates 2 of his major threats while also reducing the damage we're taking essentially down to 4. This takes the damage we're taking down to 3, so it's a better block. However, it's more vulnerable to a pump spell. But at this point, we aren't beating a pump spell anyway, so we're not going to play around it. So all of our bets are on finding a swamp for this contract killing. And conveniently enough, if we do find the swamp for the contract killing, we can play the Sky Marcher in the same turn. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, because we get the 2 treasures. Alright, we're back to blocking this way. I may have missed something. Nope. Just taking a while to make sure we break down the board state correctly and assign the correct blocks. See if we find our swamp. We don't. Sky Marcher takes us to 4 life, and then we die. Really needed to find a swamp that game. Are we going to keep playing? No. We weren't dead on board right there. We could play. Oh, never mind. I said we could play both the creatures, but we didn't have quite enough mana for that. We definitely need to find another, or to add another swamp if we were rebuilding this deck. Go down 1 plains and up 1 swamp, making the split 10 and 6 rather than 9 and 7. Decided to bring in Moment of Triumph because there were a lot of close combats, and that's one way of eliminating one of the 2/4s. Never mind, scratching the Moment of Triumph, taking out the Vampire Revenant, and putting in a Looming Armasaur. Deal with those Dreadmaws. This hand seems fine, but not great. We don't have a play until turn 3. We need to find our 3rd land in our first 2 draws. But if we get there, it does have a lot of power, it has a lot of reach, and a lot of evasion in this hand, so I think it's worth the risk to take it, and hopefully we'll find a swamp here. Raging Regisaur is a terrifying reveal from our opponent on turn 1. We do find our 3rd land. It is not the correct color, but a land is better than no land. Sun-Collared Raptor. Outraces our Bloodletter currently. It'll actually continue to outrace it until we play one of these Voracious Vampires and force the trade with the Raptor. Death Spitter is also a bit problematic. Would have liked to have found another land there, particularly a swamp. But we can still play this Voracious Vampire and get in with the Sky Marcher, or the Bloodletter, I mean. Because our opponent didn't pump the Sun-Collared Raptor, we are winning the race. However, at any moment they could decide to pump it. The attack here is going to be kind of interesting because if we block the Sun-Collared Raptor, we can force them to pump it and not play the Regisaur this turn. So I think if I were them, I wouldn't even have attacked with the Sun-Collared Raptor. Because I know that I'm playing the Regisaur, and I wouldn't want to trade the Raptor off. I go ahead and pump, which sets the Regisaur back a full turn, which is great for us. We find our 4th land and get to play the Sanguine Glorifier, which gets us up to a 3-power flyer and a 3/3 on the ground. It doesn't match up well against the Regisaur, but we know we can play Mark of the Vampire on it next turn, so we're fine to actually take the 3 damage from the Frilled Death Spitter. When he plays the Regisaur, we can go ahead and, on our turn, play Mark of the Vampire on our 3/3 and be able to attack past the Regisaur. Probably still safer to put it on the flyer. Then we lose our entire clock if we lose our flyer. So I'm not entirely sure what the best strategy for that is. Probably best to put it on the Sanguine Glorifier. And we'll see what we decided to do in the moment here shortly. The Deathgorge Scavenger is once again a pain, allowing our opponent to gain some life and shift the race back in their favor. Not that this is much of a race at this point. Also kind of nice that they once again held off playing a 4/4 on a board where a 4/4 is fantastic. So I'm fairly happy to actually see that was their line. We're getting the ground fairly gummed up here for us. We draw our 5th land, once again missing a swamp. I think Voracious Vampire may just be our best play. Mark of the Vampire is also a very good play, but giving the Sanguine Glorifier Menace and +1/+1 for a turn seems very good, considering we can either in for 7 damage this turn or kill the Deathgorge Scavenger without losing our Sanguine Glorifier. Down to 9 minutes on the clock compared to our opponent's, I think that says 16. So we've definitely been taking our time with a number of our decisions. And then ultimately, or rather, not always making the best decisions as it was. However, I'm glad we were taking the time to think about them rather than just acting based on intuition. I believe this will be the turn where our opponent plays the Regisaur. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. If they just want to continue holding that 4/4 in their hand, I'm fine with that. Attacking with the 3/3 and the 3/2. See what card they exile for this Deathgorge Scavenger. They're exiling a creature. So they gain a bit of life, but they do allow us to trade with the Deathgorge Scavenger if we'd like, which I'm not sure if we want to. I think we just want to let it go because we can attack for 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we can attack for 9 this coming turn and then finish them off with a Gruesome Fate. So interestingly enough, our plan of attacking for 9 is now halted a bit, but still isn't awful because we get to kill the Regisaur if they block with it. And we get to play another flyer, I believe. Let me check and see if we have a send. 5, 7, 8, 9. We will have a send if we don't lose the Glorifier. And we'll have a send. No, we won't. We could have a send by the time the Sky Marcher could attack. Our opponent's deciding what their best line is here. If they just let this damage through, they're likely dead. I think they needed to block either with the combination. I think their best block was to block with the Sun-Colored Raptor and Ixalan's Diviner, as I could only kill one of the two, and they get to keep a 4/4 on the board. However, they could also have blocked with the Regisaur and the Ixalan's Diviner to take out my 4/4. This Gruesome Fate currently does 4 damage to our opponent, so as long as we don't die or they don't gain too much life on this turn, we should be able to win. This attack currently represents 4, 7, 10, and then 2 pumps is 16. And let's see what they exile for the Death Gorge. Death Gorge Scavenger exiled a non-creature, so that's 4, 8, 11. It is a lethal attack. We do have to chump the Death Gorge. If we chump the other one, we take 2, 8, 12. Yeah, so the Death Gorge is our best chump. However, we should win on the swing back because not only do we just get to attack for 5 in the air, we also have that extra bit of reach in our hand. We debate this block for a little while, or no, our opponent is debating what to do for the moment, whether they really want to pump the Sun-Colored Raptor if it increases their clock enough, I'm assuming, or if they have some card in their hand they want to play. They have 2 cards in hand. We don't know what any of them are. That Regisaur is the one that's currently on the battlefield. So at this point, we're really just trying to set up to swing for lethal next turn, and if we don't do so, then our opponent will take the game down. However, they seem to have worked themselves into a situation where they were all in on this alpha attack, and by blocking the way we did, I believe we managed to survive. If we have a removal spell for the Bloodletter, we lose the game. I mean, it's still a very, very close game. But double pump signals the end of our opponent's game. Unless they had some kind of 1 mana green pump spell that got them 2 additional damage in. Does not appear to be the case. We're just gonna attack for lethal and gain our 5 life. And our opponent conceded while we were trying to think of a way we could possibly lose that game. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. We'll be back with more Magic in the near future. I also look forward to hearing any constructive criticism you guys have to offer, and we'll see you next time.